Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining our diagnostic training session today. If you have any questions throughout the session, if you're joining us on Zoom, just look at the top of the bottom of your screen. Wherever your Zoom controls are, you should see a little button that says Q&A. Click on that, hit submit, and I'll get to those at the end. If you're watching on YouTube, which maybe you are and maybe you're not because we're having some streaming issues, but if you are, just make sure I can use a live chat if you're watching live. Otherwise, after the fact, you can leave a comment. So that is our intro. So my name is Jason Gabrinas. I'm one of Snap-on's National Diagnostic Technical Trainers. Been in the training department the last 11 years or so, traveling around North America, helping techs and shop owners get the most out of their diagnostic equipment. Before I did that, it was a couple years as a diagnostic sales rep with Snap-on. So I had about 30 different franchisees I worked with, as well as the shops that they serviced in order to help everyone get the most out of their diagnostic needs. Then before I did that, it was 8 years at Subaru. So I worked in a dealership, and over time, I guess, just became the default diag guy in the shop. So I always ended up with the drivability problems, the intermittent problems, the weird wiring problems that would show up on those cars. And that's really where I cut my diagnostic teeth, was trying to figure out all those weird head scratcher cars that would come into my. Then before that, a bunch of other miscellaneous wrenching jobs. Then a little over 25 years under hood experience for me. Our topic today is Security Link. Again, we've been talking about this quite a bit over the last year and a half or so, 2 years for sure. And we have some updates. If you didn't catch the last time we did this, there is a new manufacturer that we'll talk about a little bit later. And there's another manufacturer that's going to be coming in imminently, they tell me. So we'll talk more about that as we go. But let's just go back in time just a little bit, back to 2015. So there were these hackers that were messing around with CAN messages, right? So they're figuring out how they can send messages to vehicles, and they figured out that they could tap into a Jeep if they knew the IP address of the radio on the vehicle. Of course, everything's interconnected on the internet nowadays, and as long as they could get the IP address, they were able to log in and they were able to send messages to the vehicle. So in this case, you can see a picture of a Jeep driven into a ditch. Well, they partnered up with Wired Magazine in order to demonstrate how they were able to do this. So they're able to, steer it and speed up, slow down, put the wipers on, take control completely away from the driver. And these are the good guy hackers. There's really two different types of hackers. There's white hat hackers, which these folks would be, and then black hat hackers, which would be the bad guys. The bad guys are the ones that try to get in your bank account, things like that. The good guys are the ones that try and find security vulnerabilities before the bad guys do, and then they let people know, tech companies, or in this case, car companies, hey, there's a vulnerability, you might want to fix that. So they were talking with Chrysler, FCA, whoever it was back then. And I guess they weren't really paying much attention. So that's why they had this article. They teamed up with this Wired magazine and did this demonstration. And shortly thereafter, on July 16th of that year, Chrysler released an update for their radios that blocked that access. But the thing is, with that update, it had to be applied manually from the dealership. They, shipped them a USB stick or whatever. They had to plug the stick into the vehicle in order to update it. So how many customers and vehicle owners went? I'm not sure. Probably not all of them, though. So obviously, they knew there was a vulnerability and it needed to be addressed. So a couple of years down the road, they came out with this. So this would be the secured gateway module, and this is one of the first ones on the market here. Now, the thing about how they do it, Chrysler, FCA, Stellantis, whatever you want to call them, the way they do it versus how any of the other manufacturers we're going to see tonight do it is pretty much all or nothing. They lock down the entire car from the outside world, except for reading codes and reading data. So anything sending a command in a vehicle, not going to happen. So you'll notice we have the secure vehicle gateway here, and that this is on our wiring diagram, of course, and all of my diagnostic connector here. So diagnostic connector goes in, and then the radio CAN bus goes in as well, because remember, that's how they got into the vehicle originally. So this kind of works like a hardware firewall. So the signals can't get through until an authorization code is sent. Now, that locks it down from the outside world, like I said. So what can I do versus what can I do? And like I said, this is just for FCA, Stellantis, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat vehicles. You can read codes and read data. And that's pretty much it. You can't do anything else like programming, coding, functional tests, special functions. I can't relearn cameras for ADOS. I can't clear the codes even in there without being able to actually have access to this vehicle. So how does it work? Now, this is most manufacturers work on some form of this, what I'm going to describe to you. So there's little differences between manufacturers, but high level, this is really how it works. So we have our scan tool here, and we have our vehicle over here, the secure gateway module. So it's going to ping the module, and it's going to say, hey, I want to get in. Then the module will say, okay, well, here's my secure ID, sends the secure ID back to the tool. The tool then takes that secure ID and the tool's ID, which is usually the serial number. And then if needed, a username or password or a passcode, whatever the manufacturer requires, sends it up to a server in the cloud. If all of this stuff here checks out, then it sends down an unlock code and says, all right, you're good. Sends the code over, and then it sends it to the gateway. The gateway says, okay, that's a verified unlock code. You're in, and it lets it in. So it's going to look something like this. And this is in real time, not sped up. So it's going to start a session. There's my ID numbers and VIN and things like that. Request authorization, and then it gets unlocked. Takes pretty much that long on a decent Wi-Fi connection. Right? So that's how it should work, ideally, when everything's good. Now, what if something is missing? Still going to ping the module. Module's still going to send back an ID number. You're going to upload this, and if any of these things are not correct, either the username and password's wrong, the tool ID is not registered, or for some reason secure ID is not correct, which would be the least likely in this scenario. But it goes up and it says, oh, something doesn't match, can't log you in, something of that nature. Sends it back down and says, sorry, can't get back in. So I got a couple videos showing that. So in this case, this is authorization denied. Ensure the scanner has been added to your Snap-on profile with OEM credentials added and restarted afterwards. So in this case, the credentials aren't there, and it wouldn't let you in. Otherwise, this one says device not associated with profile. So if your device is not attached to your Snap-on profile, it won't let you in as well. So it doesn't know who the device owner is, so it won't let you in that way. So there's a couple different things on the page that you will get depending on what the problem is, right? Either my username and password is not correct or any of those things. All right. And then what if I don't have Wi-Fi? So it's going to hook up, it's going to come back with a secure ID. Even if all the numbers are right, the username and password's right, and all that good stuff is right, if I have no Wi-Fi, I can't get up to the cloud anyways. So if my Wi-Fi is not connected, and this is for the initial hookup to the vehicle, the Wi-Fi needs to be connected. Once you're into the vehicle, you don't have to be connected to Wi-Fi anymore, which is good because then I can take road testing. So in this case, it says failed to start security link session. Wi-Fi is required. Make sure Wi-Fi is on. And if you look down here on the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that the Wi-Fi is on. So that brings us to our different manufacturers and what is required. So I'm in North America, of course. I'm in the United States. So over in North America, it's a little bit different than it might be in other parts of the world, depending on the manufacturer. So FCA, Stellantis, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, whatever you want to call them, whoever owns them this week. Current software on the tool. And that's a running theme, by the way. No matter what tool you use, Snap-on or otherwise, software needs to be current on the tool. That is from the manufacturer. The OEM says you need current software on the tool, no matter what the tool is. You also need an internet connection because you need to be able to talk to AutoAuth and servers. You need to have a current AutoAuth account. In other words, it needs to be paid up. And your tool needs to be registered with AutoAuth. So all of those things, especially the AutoAuth part. So that is a third party. That has nothing to do with Snap-on. Really doesn't have anything to do with Chrysler either. They are a third party intermediary. And, $50 a year for a basic account. There are different levels of accounts. You'd have to, go to their website and check that out, depending on what is important to you. But as I said, AutoAuth itself, $50 a year for up to 5 tools with the basic account. So if you only have a couple tools in the shop, I think you can probably get away with that $50 a year. It's really not, as far as the cost of doing business, it's like what, $4 a month or so. So I don't know. It's necessary for in order to communicate with these vehicles, right? Tool also needs to be registered in your Snap-on account, so it needs to be linked to your profile, and the AutoAuth username and password needs to be registered in your Snap-on account as well. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit when we go live. Then we get to the other manufacturers, which are not quite as locked down. Ford, for example, in the US and UK, you need current software on the tool and an internet connection. That's it. No extra third-party accounts, no usernames and passwords, none of that. You just need current software on the tool and an internet connection, and you can get into those secured functions on Ford in US and UK. Nissan global requirements. So Nissan's been kind of the stick in the wheel, so to speak, lately. We keep saying coming soon, and I understand you may be frustrated. I know I'm frustrated because I have to keep talking about it. And we're just not quite there yet. It is on Nissan. We're waiting on Nissan. Nissan has everything that they need. They just need to give us the, yep, we're good. Let's go ahead. So we're just waiting on that. And it could be tomorrow for all I know. We don't know until Nissan communicates and says, hey, this is live. We can do this, get it going. So for Nissan, though, it is very much like Chrysler because it uses AutoAuth as well. So Nissan will be exactly the same as AutoAuth. Current software on tool. That's once again Nissan's requirement. Internet connection, because you need to be able to communicate with AutoAuth. You need to have a current AutoAuth account. Tool needs to be registered with AutoAuth. As far as we know, since it's not live, we're not 100% sure, but at 99.9% sure, as far as we know, that it's not going to raise the price of AutoAuth. So for the $50 base account, you get Chrysler, you can get Nissan, and then whoever else down the road, because I think there are some other manufacturers coming down the road in the future that will be using AutoAuth as well. So one AutoAuth account, and you'll be able to utilize multiple manufacturers. Tool does need to be registered in your Snap-on account in order for it to communicate, and your AutoAuth username and password needs to be registered in your Snap-on account in order to communicate with AutoAuth as well. So that is soon, and that is global. They're doing it over in Europe already, but different markets have different license requirements. So in Europe, it's just AutoAuth, however much it is in Europe, because I think the price may be, I don't know if it's different in Europe. But I know for FCA, it's different because they have to go through Stellantis direct in Europe, right? So there's all these different market differences, right? But it will be a global solution. Everybody around the globe will be using AutoAuth for Nissan, so they're not using different different portals or anything. So this was already loaded in 23.4, so that'd be the fall release of last year. Came out last October. It was already ready, and at this time, we are still just waiting on them to activate it, right? So it's already activated in Europe. It's not activated over here, so we can't access vehicles from the United States yet. The thing with Nissan, though, and Ford and Volkswagen, which we're going to talk about in a minute, it is not the same as Chrysler, where it's all or nothing. You can still gain access to some systems on the vehicle in some tests. There's just certain tests and certain functions that will not operate. So in this case, you're going to get this screen because you can't authorize it through AutoAuth right now. It's available under Secure Gateway. Ensure the scanner's been added to Snap-on profile, OEM credentials, etc. So you're going to see that regardless until we're able to log in. But we do give you this screen after the fact. So for vehicles that are unable to have Secure Gateway unlocked, diagnostic test mode can be manually enabled. And then it tells you the whole way to go through here, and then to check the 8-channel CAN gateway for a gateway status PID that should say diagnostic test mode or intermediate once you get through there. You will be able to do some functional tests, but not special functions if they remain locked by the vehicle. It's going to depend on the vehicle. It's going to depend on what is locked and what is not. But you can do some bidirectional controls. You can still clear codes and things like that. It's just some special functions are locked. So you would look over here on this PID, and you would see it would be test mode or diagnostic mode or what. So you can actually go in, unlock it, and it'll tell you. And this is on a 2023 Nissan Sentra. All right, and then we're getting to VAG, which would be Volkswagen Audi Group. So this just rolled out the day after the last time I did this class. So 6 weeks ago, this just rolled out. And they are different than the others. So you still need current software on tool. That's a given for any of them. OEM requirement. Internet connection. Need to be able to communicate with the server. Tool needs to be registered in a Snap-on account. And I need to create a profile access code in my Snap-on account. It is a 4-digit code created by you. It can be anything. It can be 1234. It can be 0000, whatever you want it to be. But you need to create it and plug it into your account. I'll show you where to put that in a minute. And you'll see down here, it'll show up as Volkswagen Group right here. So we got that little plus sign right there, and then we just have to hit plus. And then it's going to say, all right, it's going to, you're going to send out any information that it needs. So if you don't have the address in there yet, you have to put your address in, etc. You do have to do an email verification as well. So you got to make sure your email is correct. They will send you a verification email, and it's going to look something like, see, it says verification required. It's going to look something like this. All you got to do is click verify email, and then you can come back and it'll say nothing because it's verified. Also inside your profile under account information, there's a area for profile access codes. So you would punch that in. That's where you'd punch it in. It also has been, from what I'm told, when you go into your account after the profile access code was added, it just forces you to do it anyway. So regardless, if you need to change it, you can just go in here and type over it. You can just backspace out of it and type a new code in, and that's fine. That'll work, and it'll update automatically. Then when you get to the tool side, when it is locked, it's going to say some systems may require access to manufacturer secure diagnostic requests. When you are trying to access one of those systems, it's going to say enter your personal 4-digit code. You type in your code. As long as the code in here matches the code that you put in your profile, it will work. Simple as that. As long as it works. And then it'll say it's unlocked. When you back out of the controller as well, this is for Volkswagen Audi as well. When you back out, it's going to tell you how many minutes are left for it to be unlocked before it locks automatically. So you have 90 minutes of key on time before the controller locks itself again. So that should be plenty of time to go on a road. If you back out of the controller and leave it unlocked, you can either lock it or unlock it when you leave. If you leave it unlocked, it is going to set a code, just so you know, the activation active. So if you get that code, don't freak out about it, because you can just lock the controller and that should clear it. So to sum up, before we go live, these are the 4 manufacturers that are covered or will be covered very, very, very soon in the scan tool. All of them, as you see, need current software on the tool. All of them need an internet connection in order to connect. So if you don't have either of those, it's not going to work. For FCA and Nissan in the US and Nissan globally, you will need a third-party account, i.e. AutoOff. And then for VAG, Volkswagen Audi Group, you need that profile access code in there as well. So every manufacturer seems like they're going to be a little bit different depending on how they want to approach it. FCA, Nissan, and if I know at least one more coming soon that I can't mention because it's pretty ways down the road. So it's no point of even talking about it. But they will be added to AutoOff as well. So that's at least 3 in the next few years, if not more, going down the road. All right. So let's go live on the website. And let's talk about order of operations and how we're going to go through this. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is go to the easiest way to do this. When you get a new Snap-on tool, or just, whenever you want to register this, you want to go to altusdrive.com, and then you want to create an individual account. If you already have an account, you can just log in, but otherwise you want to create an individual account. Right? There's pretty simple to start. Just hit get started. You come in here and fill out all the information. Right? I'm not going to do it because I already have multiple accounts. I'm just going to try and go back. There we go. So I'm just going to log in with one of the accounts. It's going to bring me in here, and then you'll see that's where my files would be. We come over here, profile. Open Profile Manager. And then you would type the same username. Same username and password you just typed in. Going to pop up, and then there's your profile, right? So you're going to have name and city and state and all that good stuff. Email, like I said, make sure it's correct. If it's not correct, or if it's not an email you have access to anymore, you can change it, and you need to change it before you do Volkswagen. Down here's where I would put my profile access code. So I'm just going to plug one in there. It just has to be any 4 digits, doesn't matter what it is. Then we'll come over here to device management. Oh, sorry. You gotta hit save first. Save's on the bottom. It's gonna save. Okay, so once I have everything in my profile, this is just assuming you were starting from scratch, right? Make sure everything's in your profile. Make sure your profile access code is in there. Make sure your email address is correct. Next, we would want to add a device. So in this case, I don't have any devices associated at this time, but if I wanted to, I can hit add device. You'd put the serial number, pin, and code, and whatever you want to call the device from the device. So let me pull up my Zeus and show you where you would find it. So any of our tools, Zeus, Triton, Apollo, Solus, whatever, under the gears, either system settings or tools, depending on the scan tool, there's a get connected selection. You choose that, and then it's going to give you your details. Here's the serial number, pin, and code. That's what you would plug into that box. Now, it is important to stay on the screen. When you're on the screen, do not leave this screen, because if you do, then that code will change, right? So 3D3 is the pin. Back out, get connected. Now it's 96F, right? So these 2 numbers are generated dynamically from the server. So we want to make sure we don't leave this page, otherwise it won't be able to sync. I'll take those numbers, plug them in here, hit save, and then your tool should show up there. Then we want to go down to security link. And notice how we have all of these different manufacturers. So we have FCA North America, FCA International, which would be over elsewhere, not North America. That's managed directly by Stellantis. Nissan Europe. When Nissan goes live, it'll just change the Nissan group, and it'll be the same exact procedure no matter where you are. And then Volkswagen groups down here as well. And then as we see, Nissan North America down here says coming soon. So once it goes live, this will just change to Nissan Group, and then we'll be, you can use it anywhere in the world. So let's say I wanted to have FCA first. So we're going to go and add this. And you need to put your username and password. Now, if you don't have an AutoAuth account, you can click on this from here. You can click on this little link, and it'll bring you to AutoAuth, where you can then register for an account. Hit register. Register, pick a username, email, first name, confirm your email, password, etc. Accept the terms and conditions and hit sign up. Follow the instructions. Once you're in there, though, you can sign in with your username and password. And then you can come in here. So we need to we need to put our tool in here as well. We go to manage tools, and then you would need to add a tool, right? So add a tool. You can't type in the name of the basic account, but pick the manufacturer, and you can see pretty much any manufacturer that's out there is in here. Right, but of course, in this case, we're Snap-on, so we're going to go to Snap-on. And then model, we have TPMS or all other models. So TPMS is going to be the TPMS 5. Actually can go through AutoAuth as well. But in this case, any scan tool is going to be all other models, and then you just punch in the serial number there. Done. All my tools are in here already, so I don't need to do that. All right, once you're done there, I can close out of this, and then I'm back here. So I will have created a username and password that I just signed into AutoAuth for, right? So I'll plug that in. Then you need to check off the boxes. So this is required that each user register the scan tool with their own technician profile prior to use. And this is the terms and conditions for use. Hit save. and then it'll plug it in there. All right. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm going to assume, and I know it's not going to be everybody, but I would assume a large volume of people probably already have FCA associated with their account because it's been around since 2018. 2019, we started adding support for it. So it's been, what, 5 years almost, 4.5 years. So I would imagine the majority of users of our tools probably have an AutoAuth account and have their tool register with us. So with that, if you don't, that's how you would do it, right? I just showed you that. If I'm already here and I already have FCA in there and I want to add Nissan, it's going to look just like this. So remember, the only thing that's going to change on this page is that's going to change the group. So all I got to do is go over here, hit the plus sign. It's going to carry over my username and password because I already have it in there from Chrysler. All I got to do is hit check, check, save. Done. Then it'll be there. Now, if you are in the United States and Canada, it's not going to work. You can try and put Nissan Europe in there. It's just not going to work right now because it recognizes you're not in Europe, right? So you can't kind of get around it yet until it's in the United States. So when it says Nissan Group, you'll be able to. And then as far as Volkswagen Group, I can hit add there. And then there's some privacy policy and EULA stuff that you can read through. Check, check, save. And then, of course, in this case, we need to verify our email. So it's going to send a email to this email address, which I don't have access to. So there's that. But you would have to go to your email, verify your email address, and it'll say no longer needs verification. So that's the 3 that are in there. And otherwise, it's Ford that doesn't need this. Ford is basically on the tool. It still connects to the server, so I still need Wi-Fi and all that. But it is essentially on the tool. I don't need any external added to my account in there, right? So that is our walkthrough on how to do that. Now, what if I didn't have FCA in there and I wanted to add Nissan? Here's how it's going to act too. I'll give you that answer. So we'll go to Nissan, hit plus, and then it's going to be the same procedure as before. Since it doesn't have, let me click off, I think. So add Nissan, and then there you go. You would just plug in your username and password for AutoAuth. If you don't have an AutoAuth account, you can click on AutoAuth. It'll bring you to AutoAuth and bring you that way. So it's going to be the same procedure as FCA. If you already have FCA, it's just checking 2 boxes. Right? Simple enough once it's turned on. And believe me, we'll let you know when it's turned on. Another way to know when it's turned on is you can give us your email address. If we don't have your email address, you won't be getting emails from us. So there is, I would suggest talking to your franchisee and saying, hey, can you put my email address in there when you do a platform change of ownership, and that'll get an email address to us. You can also talk to your local diagnostic rep. We gave them a way to do that as well to manually put it in. So hopefully this demystified it a bit. I won't be doing this class again until something else happens, like we get another manufacturer coming in. So as of right now, this is the state of affairs on March 5th, 2024 at 6:28 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, it changes all the time. So just, register your email. Actually, if you go into Nissan North America, I just remembered this. So if we go and hit learn more on Nissan North America, there is a link to sign up here to be notified when it's activated. And you can just plug your name and email, and we will send you an email when it's live. And like I said, should be soon. I know I've been saying it should be soon for the last few months, but I'm just going off what everybody else is telling me. So it is imminent. It is imminent. Just a matter of them signing and finishing up all the paperwork. All right. So that is Security Link. Let's talk about next week. Next week, we are continuing our OEM-specific training course. And if you missed Toyota last time, we are going to be redoing Toyota next week. It is going to be on specific stuff at Toyota, a little bit of history, a little bit of common codes, common vehicles, common issues that they may share across the board. So tune in live, 6 and 9 Eastern on Tuesday, as in every Tuesday. Snapon.com/OT if you want to join on Zoom. Otherwise, if you want to join 6 p.m. Eastern class, goes to YouTube, youtube.com/Snap-on Diagnostics. And then the 9 p.m. class goes to Facebook at facebook.com/SnapOnJason. As long as streaming is working. That's been an issue lately the past couple of weeks, but we're going to make it work. So same time, same place as always. If you want to watch any of our other episodes in this series, anywhere from ADOS through After the Repair, reflashing, there's 83 different episodes to watch anytime, anywhere. As long as you get access to YouTube, you can go. If you want to scan that QR code, by the way, it will bring you to our YouTube channel, and it will automatically subscribe you to the channel as well. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe, as always. All right, let's get to questions. We do have a couple. If you showed up late on Zoom, which I saw quite a few of you come in a little bit late, but that's fine. But if you do have questions, just go into Q&A. You'll find a little button on your screen somewhere that says Q&A. Type in your question, and I will get to that in a moment. If you're watching on YouTube, just feel free to use that live chat option watching it live. If you're not watching it live, leave a comment. Also want to make sure I mention my buddy Keith, who does free training on scan tool specific training. Wednesday's on Zeus and Zeus Plus. Thursday is on Apollo and Triton. And they're very thorough classes. They're Zoom only, snapon.com/OT if you want to sign up. But it is everything from let's make sure your Wi-Fi is working. We'll talk about security link. We'll talk about Snap-on Cloud. And then it'll take you code to completion through the scan tool using Fast Track Intelligent Diagnostics code to completion, going through that. So very thorough class. That's about the first hour. Then after that, takes about a 5-minute break. After the break, goes through the scope and meter functions on the tool as well. So like I said, very thorough class. Keith's been with us for over 30 years. He came over from Sun Electric. So he's been with us within diagnostics the whole time. So definitely very knowledgeable when it comes to that sort of thing. So give that check that out if you want to learn more about your tool. All right, let's get to questions. Got one on Zoom. Let's see. John says, can you send me a link? A link to what exactly? Lots of different links to lots of different things I just talked about. So let me know. Send another Q&A there, John Lewins, and I will check. Let's see over here. Let's go to YouTube while we're waiting on another question from John. Dan Cujo says hello. Hello, Dan. Thanks for joining as always. Nick from the UK joining at 11 p.m. his time. Thank you very much. Always glad you stay up and check us out. Claude says, is there somewhere to find out which manufacturers require the access account? Yeah, so I just gave you a little, I had that checkbox, but if we go here, let's see, what's the easiest way to go? Let me just go here. So snapon.com/gateway. We go to snapon.com/gateway. It is going to tell you everybody that we support. So if we scroll down here right now, you see it's Fiat Chrysler, Ford, and Volkswagen Audi. Right, so there's your list right now. As I said, Nissan's not there yet. So once Nissan shows up, this will get updated and we'll have Nissan. So as of right now, it's only those 4 manufacturers. Let's see. And then we also have these videos. I produced quite a few videos lately of different ways, different things you might need. So setting up your technician profile, linking your FCA credentials, setting up for Volkswagen, and then we'll have another one for Nissan down here as well once that gets done. So that's kind of your best resource there, Claude, is going to be snapon.com/gateway. And then we'll keep this updated as you know, we try to actually get ahead of it, actually, if we know it's going to come in like a day or two for that. All right. So that's the easiest way to get there. Let me pop back up here. There we go. Let's see. Next one. Mark Galentine says, is it a flat rate or is it price per manufacturer? What is the yearly fee? So the fee is through AutoOff. And I'm assuming you're in North America. If you're in North America, it's $50 a year for the basic account for FCA. And that gives you up to 5 tools, up to 4 users. There are further tiers if you want extra reporting and things like that, but I'd imagine most people can get by with a $50 a year fee. Other manufacturers, as far as we know, it's going to be the same flat fee for just using auto auth because it's just a service, right? So as far as we know, as of right now, it's going to be that $50 for that. If you're over in Europe, going through FCA is a different fee, and I think it's considerably more. And then for Nissan, it would be $50 for Nissan. That's over in Europe. Over in North America, like I said, it's everything's through auto auth, so it's just $50. Let's see. JLE Lobo says my Altus account doesn't give me options for security links. So I imagine you are on a shop account. So there's two different types of accounts. There's a shop account, which would be if you have like ShopKey or Mitchell. It's going to be that username and password. So what you need to do is you need to go in and set up a separate individual account. The way the manufacturers have it set up is they want to have the security tied to the individual, not tied to the shop. So you need to go through and set up a separate account as an individual. So go to altusdrive.com and then click on create an individual account. And then you can go in through there and then you'll have that security link option. Let's see. Dan says, what are the limitations if I don't renew my subscription? So right now you're on, must be 23.4. If you don't renew your subscription and your software goes out of date, you won't be able to access these vehicles. Plain and simple. You won't have access to any of the secured functions on any of those vehicles you just talked about because it requires current software, and that is required by the manufacturer to have current software. Right? So if your software lapses, it times out, and you don't renew your subscription, once the software goes out, you won't have access to those manufacturers. It also won't have upload to Snap-on Cloud. So if you use that, pre and post scans, it won't upload anymore. You'll still have access to your old stuff, but it won't upload anymore. Also won't have access to Intelligent Diagnostics. If you have Intelligent Diagnostics on the tool, won't have access to quick lookups on the tool, won't have access to TSBs, won't have access to basically anything that pings the internet, goes up to our server, cloud-based stuff. It's not going to have access to any of it. So it'll be a non-intelligent scan tool basically at that point, but it will still have access to the non-secure gateway vehicles. So hopefully that answers your question there, Dan. JLE Lobo says, thank you very much. Haven't gotten anything from John Lewins yet. So I don't know what link you want, John. Kind of need to let me know with that. I can definitely send you a link, but I don't know what link you're looking for. So with that, I think we got everything covered. And yeah, looks good. So with that, John, if you need to, you can always send me an email to the confirmation email you would have gotten for Zoom in order to get into this class, the link for that. So just reply to that email and that'll go to the diagnostic marketing and then they can forward it. All right. So we'll get you your link some way, somehow. All right. With that, that is class. That is all the questions, answers appears. So with that, thank you very much. Hopefully we've demystified that a little bit. You can always rewatch this, go back through it, go through the steps, watch the videos on the websites, the different places we have. There's tons of information out there about it. All it just takes is a little bit of looking. So with that, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good night and oops, hold on. So I have another question on Zoom. So Jorge says, sometimes I try to connect security link, for example, Dodge, but it does not connect. How come? Like I said, we got to make sure that your Wi-Fi is connected. We got to make sure your software is current. We got to make sure the tool is registered in your Snap-on account. We got to make sure your username and password is in there as well. And then need to make sure you're registered with AutoAuth and your AutoAuth account is current as well. So if any of those things is not there, that's why it's not connected. I can't tell you for sure because I don't know which one of those things is missing. So if you want, you can always call tech support, 1-800-424-7226, and they will walk you through and try and figure out where the disconnect is there. Hopefully that helps you out, Jorge. All right, and then a couple, one came up on YouTube as well. Mark Galantine said, well, I need to register my TPMS tool. So if you have a TPMS 5, and that is, the process is on the tool, and that is only for AutoAuth. All the other tools, there's no way to go through and do that. So you just register with AutoAuth, and then the other tools, as far as I know, it just kind of does it in the background, as far as I know. That's only for the TPMS 5, because that one actually has like scan tool functions in it. So if it's TPMS 5, yes. Other TPMS tools, no. And then Patrick says thank you on YouTube. So thank you very much. Thank you all very much. I try to answer the questions as soon as I can. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you next week for Toyota OEM specific training. Have a good night and take care.